Transforming Mindsets TV.
Hello guys, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. It's been a while and it feels so good to be back. It feels so good to be here. I feel like I'm loaded. For this video this time around. I was that sound they used to say on TikTok. I don't know if it's a music or a sound, but it says something like comedy hot, comedy hot, comedy hot, comedy. I feel like I'm comedy hot today. So welcome once again to my channel, and for those who are joining for the first time, my name is Riskame Ode, and from now henceforth I would be the sugar in your tea, the only salt in your food. Well, in this video we're going to be talking about money habits I realized kept me broke. We're going to be talking about money, and you know how important money is. That's why for the life of me I can't comprehend the fact that we spent several years of our lives in school. We are learning, and there's no course, there's no class, there's no compulsory subject that centers around managing money. So when you finish school, when you graduate from school, it's like a shock. You suddenly realize that money is so important, and managing it, if you don't manage it well, nobody is coming to your rescue. Nothing is coming to save you. There's no somebody somewhere that is coming to deliver you from your money problems if you don't deliver yourself, right? So I think I had my first encounter with dealing with large money, and I realized the need to deal with money rightly right after I graduated from my law school. So I graduated from school and I had gifts from several people. People are like, oh, I just want to celebrate you and all of that and all. So I had large money. My account was loaded, in quotes, at that time. Well, of course there was a lot of expenses, but expenses aside, because I still had people that took good care. I had parents and siblings that took good care of like the important expenses. But the rest of the money, till the years that is to come, I can't account for it, because I had very bad money habits. I would buy things, and then I was so irresponsible that I was scared of my account balance, so I would spend without checking my balance, because I didn't want to come face to face with like what I have spent and all of that. And before you know, I was broke. Then I started working and I went off with that habit. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't buying big stuff. I wasn't buying expensive things per se. I was just buying little things. Like when I would receive my monthly payment, I would pay my tithes. I would send money here, there, settle off things, and then would not check my account balance. I would just so that I don't come to face with like how much I have left, I would buy this, buy that, sometimes some unplanned expenses here and there and all. And then I realized I was living from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, because at a point, if you want anything from me, if you want money from me, the only time you can get, as in a substantial amount, the only time you can get is salary week, or even few days after salary is being paid. The week is even too long. The rest of the time I just have enough for myself. I don't have anything to help others, and that means there's no room for emergency. If I have any reason for any emergency or anything, my whole account is too tight. There's no space, there's nothing, there's no way to sneak any money out, because I need to transport, I need to feed. I was struggling. So here are some habits that I realized kept me broke. And when I mean broke, I don't just mean the absence of money, but your inability to have enough money to sustain yourself for a month if your active income is taken away. That's if your job, your major source of income, is taken away now. Can you sustain yourself? If you're unable to sustain yourself for a month after, you're broke. The first of which is thinking of money primarily or largely as a spending ticket, as just spending, and not thinking on it in terms of building assets, investments, and even savings. Now that's the difference between the very rich people and the poor people, because you spend a lot. Because I used to spend a lot. You look expensive, you look comfortable, you look okay. Meanwhile, the rich people, they think of, oh, far off investment. Oh, am I saving towards, even in small proportions, right? Think towards like saving, or think towards investing this money in such a way that you can transfer your active income into passive income, so that if by any passive income is taken away, you're unable to perform the tax or anything, you can still survive and you can sustain yourself, not just for a month but for a period of time. So in order to build your money such that you have a lot of passive income, and your active income is not just your major source of income of living. You have to make some certain level of sacrifices. So you save towards building assets, you build assets towards earning more and all. So that was one mistake I made. Another very terrible money habit that I realized kept me broke, and now that I think of it is very irresponsible, is the money fear. Like, I would literally be spending and not want to check my account balance because I'm scared of like how much I have spent. So they are probably even on very important things, because I would want to buy food stuff, and I have a budget, for example, of 30,000 naira. And with the whole situation of the country and the world as a whole, inflation at its peak and everything, you get there and you discover that the things that you want to buy, the worth of it is now 40,000 naira, for example. So I'm buying stuff and I'm not checking. So I just keep buying, and by the end of the day, I discover I spent far more than I planned to and all. It's just a very, 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 very known fact that if you don't plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So if you are going and you are spending things, you're not checking your balance, you're already on the path to failure. So it's very, very important that you're accountable to your own self. You check and continue to, adjust accordingly. Closely related to the second one is the third, which is not tracking my expenses. So I don't track. I have a lot of, before, I think when I started earning at first, I used to write budgets down, and I'm like, oh, this is what I will spend, this is what I will not spend, and all of that. But you know how things, how money is and how things come up. So a lot of things are coming up and all, and I started to console myself that maybe I'm just not earning enough. That's why I don't have enough to save, or that's why I don't have enough to invest, because I'm not like earning enough. But really, it was just because I wasn't tracking my expenses. So we have to be the CFO of our lives, the chief financial officers of our lives, right, in order to manage money effectively. A friend of mine introduced me to writing down your expenses. So it helps you to be accountable and to make adjustments when it comes to dealing with money. So everything, oh, I got fuel this amount, I bought food this amount, I do that. Very, very important. It's very important to track your expenses. That helps you in future dealings. It helps you be more responsible with your money. Another very bad money habit I realized kept me broke. Probably even the most important is taking debt. So sometime last year, I realized that these banks offer salary advance loan, right? So, and then they have quick loan and all those very convenient things, especially when you're a salary earner, because like middle of the month, you're faced with a lot of needs and you feel like, oh, your money can't meet up and all of that. So let me just add up. You probably start with like 10,000, you add 20,000 naira, you add, and then needs and wants, they're almost insatiable. You continue to need things. There are so many things that come up that you need to settle with money and all, and then you are going around the same circle. So I started with that. I'm like, oh, I need these things to settle this, so I don't want to use for my main income. Let me borrow to settle this. Let me take an advance to do this. Let me take an advance to do that. Then I realized at a certain point when I'm trying to account for like last year, early this year, that I remained in the same circle. My spending remained in the same circle, because by the time I'm earning new money, I'm taking out of the money I'm supposed to use for my expenses for that month to settle the debt I'd already taken, and then I'm left with a gap this month and I have to borrow again to settle this month's debt. So if you want to be able to correctly account for your money and stop being broke this year, flee debt. Don't run, flee from debt, anything borrowing, especially if you are not using it to get an asset or to make investments. You just want to settle little things. Flee debt as much as you can. Closely related to that, another mistake I made was not budgeting my money, not budgeting my finance. Because if you budget, you don't need to necessarily take debt. Budgeting is very, very important. Personally, now I do the short-term, long-term, and living expenses budget. So every time you have different percentage for your money. So personally, you have you can do living expenses dependent on how much you have to spend for the month. Let me say, for example, 50% of your earnings can go into living expenses, then 30% for long-term plans. That's the assets you want to build, investments you want to do, and then savings into all of that. 30% can go into that, and then 20% going for your short-term plans. And short-term plans, I mean like little things that you need that are not necessarily living expenses. Like you want to get even very comfortable and what's it called, luxury things that you just know you want to get an iPhone, you want to get this. So if you're not able to afford it at that time, you save towards it. You can, if that 20% cannot afford it, you can put in 20% from 3 different months or 4 different months to get that. But make sure that it's not cutting into your living expenses, because when your living expenses is cut short, then you have to borrow for living expenses that is not earning, that is not bringing you more money, and you remain in the same circle. And the same thing with your long-term plan. If you cut in from your long-term plan to settle your short-term plans, you discover that you have no assets, no investment, nothing. So it's very important to plan money and stick to it. Another mistake I made is not building an emergency fund. So if there's anything that we don't know in this life, we don't know the next minute, we don't know the next hour, we know not what would come along. So it's very important to have an emergency fund. But as an adult, fully responsible for yourself, you have to be able to take care of those emergencies. You have family emergencies, you have so many of those things. So it's very important to create an emergency fund. It doesn't even have to be so much. Probably 5% of your salary is kept aside for, if there's any emergency. If there's any emergency, your family members fall sick, or any of those things that really become money demanding, it's important to have an emergency fund. Another mistake I made was not budgeting for family. So I used to think that, once I just start earning, I can be able to solve problems and all. But you realize that adulting is realizing that bills are a lot, and it's really a lot to manage. So when you are struggling with managing your own bills, you really don't have enough disposable income to just throw around. So that's why it's important to budget for family deliberately. Budget for family. For me, I like to add that to my short-term plans and all those things that it comes to cheat spending and all. So if I get 20% of my salary, use it to like settle up with family and all of that. Because but ensure that you have a budget for family and you don't overshoot from it, because when you start overshooting to settle family bills, you end up not having any investment. You remain broke for life. Finally, to escape the plague called brokenness, it's very important to maximize your earnings. Think of ways to earn more. Think of things that could generate more income for you. Maximize your potentials, your talents, your desires. Think of just ways to earn more. Adulting is discovering that money is very important, and how you handle it goes a long way to play, has a very large role to play in how your future turns out. So your money is not just something that you're handling, it is literally your future in your own hands. And being able to manage it, being able to conquer the indiscipline of mismanaging it goes a long way to how your life plays out. Don't play with your money this year. Don't joke around with your money at all. Thank you so much for watching this video. Stick around, and thank you guys so much for all the love. Thank you so much. Stick around, and I hope that we have better times together. I love you.